Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and what I want to talk about in this video is something which I see as being a problem in the close protection business, executive protection business. And that's where people don't understand the difference between low profile protection and high profile protection. Everybody just seems to think, or a lot of people seem to think, there's just one way of doing things. You know what, I've been in this business now 35 years. And I'll tell you, there isn't one way of doing things. There's multiple ways of doing things. And if you come up with new ways of doing things and they work, power to you. Now, I think one of the biggest problems is a lot of training providers are just churning out high profile protection, etc., PSD courses, which really are completely irrelevant to what's going on in the world today. They were relevant when there was big contracts in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I think these days PSD work and people running around with plate carriers and assault rifles, it's a thing of the past. It's a fantasy. The trouble is a lot of people are teaching high profile government techniques that work for people protecting politicians, etc. For those that are going to go and work in the commercial sector. It's a completely different world. To start with, those providing government protection, high profile government protection, say to presidents, etc., politicians, they're government agencies. They have the right to arrest people. They have authority. In the commercial close protection business, you have no authority. And a lot of times the authorities look upon you as being suspicious to start with. The other thing is a lot of people, and I think one incident that highlights this is the attack on Arnold Schwarzenegger in South Africa a few years ago. His protection team, if you look at that incident, and I've got videos, those videos are up on the Risk Inc. blog. His protection team was doing as they were trained, watching the hands of those around him, but they weren't paying attention to what's going on 360. So again, a lot of these government protection techniques work, but what people forget, a president, a politician might have 5 or 6 guys with them. But in addition, if they're doing things properly, they're going to have how many other undercover people around them providing an extra ring of protection. So this is where high profile techniques work in conjunction with low profile techniques and vice versa. This is where you need to understand close protection tactics, close protection techniques, and how you actually work on the street. A lot of how you employ low or high profile techniques, tactics, depends on the threat assessment, depends on the environment you're working in. And I've said to people, I've had people doing my courses and we do assessments, etc., and they give me a proposal for a protection detail somewhere, and I throw out different countries, and all they're telling me is high profile. I tell you now, if you turn up in a lot of countries as private security, and you start doing high profile protection techniques and giving it the black suit, the shades, the white shirt, and the black tie BS, you know what I mean, the cops will be on top of you very, very quickly. 1, you've got no legal authority. 2, you're identifying yourself to the bad guys, which a lot of people do. And 3, I think a lot of guys think, oh, we're big tough guys because we're bodyguards, we're this, we're that. You know what, it's complete and utter BS. If you think you're a tough guy and you think you can push people around, okay, that might work in some parts of, let's say, Europe, where to be honest with you, crime has got out of control, but the legal authority of security personnel, etc., has declined big time, what you can and cannot do. You start pushing people around in, say, London, you'll get arrested. If you do that in other parts of the world, somebody will just stab you, somebody will just shoot you. Yeah, so this is where I think a lot of people have got the misconception in the close protection business, you got to be a big tough guy, etc. You know what? It's easy for somebody to walk up behind you anywhere, stick a knife in your back, put a bullet in the back of your head, etc. And I tell my students, I tell my clients, you think about when you're out on the street, when you're out and about, how easy would it be for somebody to come up and just walk up behind you, put a bullet in the back of your head, put a knife in the back of your neck? It'd be simple. And this is where, from what I see these days, a lot of the supposed protection specialists, they can't protect themselves. They haven't got the basic knowledge of how to protect themselves. And the basic should be low profile, don't draw attention to yourself. If you're swaggering around being a tough guy and drawing attention to yourself, yeah, you can get away with it in Western Europe, but in a lot of places you're just going to be drawing attention to yourself, and from corrupt law enforcement, and also the bad guys. So it might look cool on social media. In reality, you're just going to get yourself screwed up, and I'm putting that very, very politely. Screwed up legally, physically, etc. Yeah, you're just a problem. So this is where high profile techniques can be used, but in conjunction with low profile techniques. If you're dealing in areas where there's any risk, you can have somebody, a companion with the client, to make sure the client feels assured, etc., to give guidance to the client if there's a problem. But your real protection is going to be the cordons of security personnel you've got around you, which I would strongly suggest are low profile, if not completely covert. Depends where you are, depends what you're doing, depends on your client's threat assessment. If your client just wants high profile, wants some beef around him to push people around, so it makes him look important, okay, that's, to me, it's not really security. It is in some ways. It's the minder stuff. You're not really providing security. You're putting on a show. You're a fashion accessory. That's it. And this is where the sad fact is, a lot of people coming out of a lot of the close protection, executive protection courses these days, that's all they know how to do. I've had people turn up to my courses and all they seem to know how to do is how to stand properly, how to follow somebody around like a little puppy dog. When you tell them go do an advance, go do this, go do that, they're scratching their heads because they've never been taught it, even though somebody's given them some fancy certificate and told them they're top. Where, to be honest with you, they've just been scammed. So you have to understand, if you're serious about being in the close protection business, and the close protection business is about brain power, is about being crafty, it's not about muscle. You have to be able to deal with confrontations. You have to understand conflict resolution. Our main job is to avoid, de-escalate, and again, if there is a serious issue, and I'll do videos about this, I might have done one before, I'll do another video about this in the future, is how you manage threats. It's you have to liaise with law enforcement, etc. We're not out there to be tough guys. You can't go around beating people up and pushing people out the way, which I've seen happen on quite a few occasions. You have to abide by the laws. And again, if you're providing serious protection, especially in high risk environments, if you think that you're going to jump in front of your client or do some sexy techniques and protect your client, etc., you're dreaming. You're a liability. I see a lot of the people doing their CP drills, and to those that's training seriously, total respect. But you've got to think about this, especially when people are using large formations. If somebody is 15 yards, 15 meters away from you, and they open up with an AK, 30 rounds of 7.62 by 39 coming at you in a couple of seconds, what are you going to have time to react if you don't spot the threat? And again, what's those 30 rounds of 7.62 by 39 going to do to your formation? It's just going to mash it. That's what it's going to do to your formation. Everybody's going to get shot up. So this is where you have to think about, when you're working out your plans, your procedures, and when you're training, that you're training for the real world, and it's just not tactical entertainment. And sadly, a lot of the stuff out there these days is tactical entertainment, play PSD, let's dress up and pretend to be soldiers, etc. It's bullshit. So whatever you're doing, keep it real. If you're half a brain, look at stuff and think, would this work in reality? And is this actually going to work protecting people, or is it going to cause more problems? So follow me along on social media. There's more videos up there. We've got more videos going out. And don't forget, I've got an array of books on Amazon. And if you're connected with me, link up with me on social media and drop me a line if you have any questions. I will get back to you in time. So in the meantime, be good, stay safe, stay out of trouble.